cavallers, 12 camarades són anats a Trem a robar una dama. Arriben a Trem, que el sol es posava i sola en el balcó, sola ella estava, sola en el balcó, sola ella estava. Senyora Isabel, no heu sopat encara?
Hello, my name is Amigó and I'm a Catalan harper, singer and composer. I would like to present you my work Sang de Dona, which in Catalan means women's blood. This name stands for different things such as matrilineal heritage, menstrual cycles, violence against women, among other things.
Sa mare la pentinava amb una pinteta d'or, sa germana els hi trenava els cabells de dos en dos. Ai, amorosa Anna Maria, robadora de l'amor, ai, de l'amor.
Sang de Dona songs, they are about strong female protagonists that come out of Catalan folk, especially from the books that have been kept in my region. And I wanted to do so because for me it's very important to keep the memory and history of those women alive, because if not they would disappear. The songs, they form a link between past, present and future, and they have been passed on through generations thanks to women. And the subjects, they are still actual. There are subjects about abuse, also about a beauty, or for example about forced marriage.
Primero la deshonró y después le quitó la lengua. Allí pasa un pastor.
I am bringing those women to life through arrangements that reinforce the story, the characters and the emotions. So it means that the harp is not an instrument that is accompanying me, but it's a mirror of what I'm singing and the story. So for this reason I have to use different techniques such as percussion on the harp or hitting the strings in some moments. All this, it's a mix of singing, of playing, and also sometimes some shadows, which will reinforce the story. I also update lyrics to modern circumstances and to give women an active role. This is the example from L'altra Caterina de Lió, where instead of dying at her husband's hands, she's gonna escape and live her own life.
De prop l'ull ja li sangre, treu forces d'allà un pet i el seu home al cap li va dir.
Next to the songbook, I have also been inspired by my town, the streets, the washing place, the fields, the family stories, and obviously women. And in the music, you will hear influences from folk and classical music, but also mixed with other genres when needed.
De terra al cull i l'entire a la ribera. I quan l'ha negut tirat...
I hope my music will inspire you, and I invite you to think about the position of women in our society and their fight for equality. For this reason, I will be glad to bring you live Sang de Dona at the World Harp Competition.
I'm Lupiol, a French harpist and composer. I'd like to share some of my solo and duo harp pieces, so welcome to Songs from Underside. It's an acoustic world shaped by harp and voice. I like to imagine characters, atmospheres, and creatures that inhabit my pieces. I mix classical forms with jazz colors, pop energy, video games, soundscapes, and echoes of traditional music. I'm inspired by music from Spain, Iran, and Armenia. The voice doesn't sing in the usual way, it merges with the harp, forming a second instrument like another musical layer. Songs from Other Side is the kind of music that drops stylistic labels and changes how the performer thinks about virtuosity. It's more about creating harmonies and melodic lines with a sense of polyphony, creating rhythmic atmospheres and locking into steady grooves. Now I will step back and let the music speak. I will leave you with a shortened performance of my latest work, Paper Boats and Water Tides.
Hey, my name is Livia Phoebé. I play the lower harp, but I also come from the world of clowning and storytelling. I would love to submit a rewriting of the fairy tale The Red Shoes to the World Harp competition. It's a sordid story, written by Hans Christian Andersen, which tells the tale of a lonely but very creative child who makes himself a pair of red shoes. But this child, whom I have named Billy, is taken in by a rich old woman who decided to give him a different education and burns his red shoes. From that moment on, Billy becomes obsessed with finding those shoes. One day, a shoemaker gives him a similar pair, but something is wrong. Billy begins a dance that will never end.
Comment vous décrire cette sensation exquise que Billy ressentait à cette seconde précise? Une douce impression d'être augmenté, survolté, soulagé. Cette impression, c'est sûr vous la connaissez. C'était comme s'enfuir sans rien dire. Retrouver les premières odeurs de l'été. Et puis danser. Ainsi Billy quitta la boutique du cordonnier, en dansant comme personne dans le village n'avait jamais dansé, en souriant comme personne dans le village n'avait encore souri. Alors la foule tout entière se retourna en entendant Billy pousser des cris. La vieille femme et le domestique furent pétris de honte quand tous les badauds s'exclamèrent « Mais c'est un scandale! À l'aide! Mais que fait la police? Qu'on lui coupe la tête! » Tchou. Mais Billy n'entendait plus rien et dansait, tournait maintenant comme une plume prise dans le vent, éclairant toute la place d'une immense désinvolture. Domestique se jeta sur l'enfant. Billy, contenu au sol, fit taire son corps avec 1000 remords.
Through this story, I explore the themes of madness, societal and family violence, and maybe self-emancipation. It's a truly exhilarating challenge for me to translate these themes to the harp. For example, what about playing, and not being able to stop?
I've always been fascinated by how we voice ourselves, in a world changing faster than ever. I find myself reflecting on an era shaped by contrasts, the natural and the artificial, the organic and the technological. How do we live in a world like this, and how do we coexist with what we create while still being ourselves? My name is Renee Qin. I'm a harpist and composer, exploring how sound, visual language, and technology can co-create artistic experiences. With Beneath the Waves, Beyond the Stars, I composed 8 original pieces as a way to explore these questions. It begins with a prelude, tracing back to when I was a child, when everything I heard or saw felt like a discovery. The music fades into the distant sound of waves, as if I'm walking toward the shore and slipping beneath the surface, ready to explore the ocean's mysterious world. The program unfolds across 2 parts, Beneath the Waves and Beyond the Stars. Beneath the Waves is a journey inward, centered on 2 pieces. The first piece dives into the ancient realm of the deep ocean. I craft an electronic soundscape using the resonant calls of the whale, interwoven with extended harp techniques and abstract 3D animation. It reminds us how powerful yet fragile life can be. The second piece centers on water, an essential substance for human survival. Using a handmade water instrument that I built from scratch, I create a duet between water and electric harp, expressing an encounter between nature and technology, where the 2 reflect and complement each other. Then, Beyond the Stars becomes a journey outward, into light, imagination, possibility, and the widening horizon between humans and intelligent systems. This part grows from a rare experience. While living in California, I witnessed the Northern Lights. It was a fleeting, breathtaking sight, beautiful yet impossible to hold on to. In this piece, I use extended harp techniques, electronic soundscape, and original visual media to capture that moment of ephemerality. But the starry sky is never empty. It belongs to all who look up to it. From here, I present 3 miniature works, inviting the audience to light up the sky. I developed 3 interactive technologies: a computer vision system that detects audience flashlights from their seats to influence the soundscape, an interactive sequencer that lets the audience control the starry sky and fireworks in real time, and an artificial intelligence system that collects audience input to generate sound and visual responses. All of these participation become part of the audiovisual experience, while I improvise on the harp, creating music with the audience that belongs only to this night. In the finale, we arrive at the edge of time. A coded real-time audio-reactive visualizer transforms our music into a breathing nebula. Time stretches and folds here. Looking back, we began with the most natural sound and material, and through technology expanded our senses of touch, hearing, and seeing. And now we pause to ask, what is real? What is real for us? The journey ends with a burst of light, an explosion returning to the origin, like the very first moment of the universe. In this fast-growing world, we return to our original question. How do we feel the world? How do we remember? And even in an age of intelligent machines, perhaps our capacity to perceive remains our most human act.
Hello, my name is Anna Dunlap, and I am excited to share my program, Out of Darkness into Light. My program title has a dual meaning. From a programming perspective, I selected all 21st century works by women composers, bringing repertoire to light that is often underrepresented on concert programs. On a deeper level, each work explores how to navigate the darkness we encounter and look for the light. We find ourselves in a haze of numb exhaustion with schedules that keep us in perpetual motion as we move through a world that often feels cold, dark, and indifferent. I invite you to take a moment to pause and breathe, to be inspired by this program to persevere through hardships you face and to find hope, courage, and light. Hush by Nina Shekhar captures the duality of a lullaby. The sweet, comforting nostalgia with an undercurrent of unrest and instability. A close friend describes this work as being similar to a memory made in watercolor that becomes distorted by the ebb and flow of life. Hush invites us to take care of ourselves, to make time for comfort and rest. Wrote that Charon is like diving deep into oneself to face its fears and wounds in order to make the light shine. A nocturne, this piece captures the emotions of those struggling with their mental health, especially when she makes use of a finger slide to create a hauntingly beautiful tone. So let us do the work in order to heal ourselves from our past and then to be the light for others. Time Spinner captures the spirit and memory of a loved one, which resonates deeply with my own journey to process grief. Time Spinner was written in honor of Heather McLeod, who had the life motto, "Choose to shine." So may we carry on the missions of loved ones, to bring compassion, care, and light to the lives of those we meet along the way. Kelly Marie Murphy was inspired by the quote by Vincent van Gogh, "It does me good to do what's difficult, and then at night I paint the stars." Scintillation reminds me of how Van Gogh captures the night sky in his paintings through the exceptionally fast passage work. Let us do what is difficult, to find the glimmers of hope in the dark, and keep searching for the light. In Inconvenient Wounds, Rena Eshmael asks us to face the imperfections of the world as we look for the threads of hope. I interpret this as looking for the helpers, the caregivers, and the activists who move through the world with open hearts, empathy for others, and perseverance in the face of hardship. Let us see the cracks, and may we move towards the light.
In this very poetic and highly evocative piece by Debussy, we can hear the incessant pounding of the raindrops on the leaves and branches, the wind swirling and the water trickling on the ground. Hi, I'm Margot Plantevin, a Swiss harpist and singer. I chose Petrichor as the theme of my program. The idea of this amazing, mystical perfume of the earth after the rain instantly transports me into nature, grounds me and calms me. I'll explore earthy and rainy atmosphere through music, either a fine drizzle or a violent storm or the apparent quietness of a deep forest can appear through the pieces I chose in my program. But the harp has also another side, one that is harder, stronger and more aggressive. At certain moments it should sound like a forest swept by violent winds. Allows me to explore the density of my instrument and show a kaleidoscope of sounds and effects at the harp, which is very important to me. I want to show another perspective of my instrument. It's often related to a celestial instrument with a very light, evanescent and sometimes even fragile sound. I'm searching for a different density of the sound. I'm looking for darker, more powerful, sometimes sharp, even violent sounds. Through this program, I propose to let ourselves dive into different atmospheres. The voice will, at times, intertwines with the harp, reaching deeper and even more intimate colors. Plays with the idea of diffraction of light, creating rainbow-like effects. Through the use of resonance and minimalistic patterns, we can hear the lights playing with the water drops. It is an experience, an internal process that brings a transformation, invisible to the naked eye, but that everyone can feel in their skin and in their own time. For me, petrichor arises from the depth of the earth after the rain, like the emotion grow inside us. The program becomes then a live experience that offers time and space for each one to connect with the feelings, memories and sensations.
The Space Between is a programme of new works for harp that explore microtonality, or the space between the notes that we usually expect. My name is Cara Dawson. I'm a harpist working primarily in contemporary music, and my recent collaborations with composers have naturally led towards us experimenting with different tunings. Each of the 4 pieces in the programme explores tuning in its own way and therefore requires its own instrument. So the result is 5 harps on stage. This is a setup which is not only audibly but visually striking, and I think beautifully fits in with the festival's theme of 1,000 strings. The first piece is Catharsis by Friederike Hortz for Livia harp and tape track. As a harpist herself, Friederike developed the composition of this piece by improvising on her Livia harp and discovering that the levers, when set between their usual positions, can achieve quarter tones and actually a whole range of pitches.
So it was mind-blowing in a way, because I had found so many new possible sounds, intervals, but also readings and a whole bunch of materials that can be tuned without changing anything. From the tuning system itself, so the harp stays in equal temperament, and the hooks are doing all the magic.
The next piece is Lux Perpetua by Kevin Kay. Kevin is a composer working extensively in microtonality and especially just intonation, which is a tuning system based on pure intervals which resonate with unusual clarity. It's written for 2 Livia harps, which are tuned differently and which I play simultaneously.
For me, working in microtonality is more or less a queering practice, as it works in opposition to the hegemony that is equal temperament. As a queer person moving through the world in opposition to so much already, working in an alternative tuning practice becomes interlinked with my queerness.
The next piece is Womb by Lara Agar for solo pedal harp. In contrast to the rest of the pieces in this programme, microtonality is used here more as a colour than as a compositional building block. Lara's work has been described as embracing a quiet chaos, and I think this piece really reflects that imperfect and human quality that can come with alternative tuning, especially when used so subtly.
For me, the tuning opens up this kind of tension, and it's trying to evoke this feeling of being underwater. Cara is such an amazing performer. She's got this amazing strength and also incredible tenderness. So in this piece, I really wanted to explore both those sides.
The final piece is a new work by Eden Lonsdale, a composer who wrote a piece for me for the 2022 edition of the festival. If I reach the live round this time, this piece would become a world premiere which is written specifically for my programme at this year's festival. After having worked with me on many pieces over the years, Eden is a composer who has gained an unusually deep understanding of the harp's potential.
I've always been fascinated by just intonation tuning because it is at once the most archaic and natural way to tune intervals, but at the same time it's always completely contemporary and cutting edge. The harp itself also is one of the oldest instruments known to us, but at the same time, microtonal music for this instrument is completely underexplored.
This programme embraces that duality, the archaic purity of tuning systems like just intonation, and the creativity of young composers who work on the edge of the instrument. Each composer opens up an entirely new listening world, sometimes tender, sometimes disorienting, but always intimate. My hope is that microtonality will feel less like an abstract idea and more like something which is quietly familiar. Because for me, the space between is where music can really come alive, in those places just beyond what we expect.
My name is Alma Auer and I'm a producer, composer and harpist from Antwerp, Belgium. I started to find my own voice with producing, something that was also very new for me, because I always did the singer-songwriting thing and I wanted to try something else. Creating very different sounds with harp, so the rave where I'm gonna end with, it's basically some kind of Berlin techno vibe, but then with taiko drums and the harp on top of it to make this very unique sound. What I want to present to the judges and the audience is a program called The Red Bride, and it's about a woman navigating through whether she wants to get married or not. And it's consisting about 4 songs, and the first one it's called Rose Petals, and it's actually the bride being presented to her man to be, and it's very delicate, and it looks like a lot of beautiful romantic rose petals. The second one is called The Broodmare, and it's actually about how society thinks that women are, when they want or have to get married, that they automatically are expected to have children or to have a family, while this woman, she doesn't know yet.
She looks in the mirror, a young bride to be, dressed in a scarlet wedding gown and veil for the world to see. If she wants, she'll get married to the man she prefers. At least she knows her ending. Let it be hers. Let it be hers.
The third song is called Wedding, and it's actually about all these Greek women who had this early tradition to, before a wedding, to get their hair done together with all the women of the tribe and of the family, to get bathed together. And this is also a very beautiful moment in a young woman's life to have this kind of support. The last song, and it's a song that I also submitted, it's called The Rave. Feeling that you want to get lost in the wedding. There's this moment where everybody's dancing and getting drunk. It's the middle of the night or even later, and everybody's just like going crazy. Something that for her is the beacon of a new life. It's rebirth. It's as a woman, as a wife, but also as a daughter, and maybe eventually a mother. But that's something I like to explore. So anyway, thank you for having me in the first place, and I hope you enjoy. Bye.
Hi, I'm Léna, harpist and sound engineer from France.
Hey, I'm Capucine, composer and pianist from Switzerland.
We collaborate together on a program for harp and electronics called Deep Inside. Deep Inside is a journey in 3 parts about mental health and well-being, exploring human feelings.
It's a piece for harp and electronics. It illustrates the emotional state of one and the same person. That's why we mainly use harp sounds. So one instrument is one person. To do it, the piece is written in 3 movements. The first is drowning. It targets the state of anxiety that starts with a feeling of sadness and melancholy, then gradually intensifies. At some point, it becomes nothing more than tinnitus. The second is introspection. After so much anxiety, the only solution is to seek for calmness. With the return of inner peace comes a state of contemplation, rediscovering the wonders of the world and marveling at them. The third movement is a state of celebration, the joy of reconnecting with the outside world, the desire to discover and experience. Each part shows the evolution of an emotional state, and when combined, they tell a story.
The idea is to put in music the different emotions we can feel, like anxiety, inner peace or curiosity. The basis of the project is an emotional story I wrote to Capucine and she put it into music. I like how Capucine composes because you can really feel in you what she means in her music, and I would love to share that with you. The electronic part is a combination between pre-recorded harp parts and live effects. To be as free as possible during the performance, I program everything in a software called Max MSP, so I just have one pedal to switch during the concert. What is really special is that speakers are placed all around the audience, so you will be deep inside the music and deep inside the emotions, with many things happening on stage, behind you, on the sides, creating an immersive feeling.
I like working with Léna. She's a very good harpist who gives me the tips on how to compose well for a harp, and she allows me to develop further possibilities in the world of electronic music.
Thank you for listening. We really hope to see you at the Dutch Harp Festival.
I'm Elinor Evans, a clarsach player from Edinburgh. Though I live in the hustle and bustle of a busy city, my family live in East Lothian, which is known for its thriving woodlands and vast coastlines. It's also the birthplace of famous conservationist John Muir. Chait, the tree of strings. Whenever I'm feeling uninspired, I try and escape the busy city. I find a walk along a beautiful beach or through a beautiful woodlands really inspires me. The Coolins is inspired by one of these walks. I took the heights of the 12 Coolin Munros on the Isle of Skye, and they gave me the order of notes for this piece. A piece inspired by nature. My aim in this programme is to show that music from old to modern times has been rooted in nature. In today's time, we've lost our connection with nature. We're too distracted by our phones and computers to appreciate the natural world. In this time of high anxiety and stress, I think it's important to recognise that music and nature can heal us.
Grace. I'm Grace's harp student. I've been working with her for around 3 years now. This is my 3rd year, so really exciting.
Grace is a very hard worker student. She's a really nice student and she's all the time working and it's really fun. We are always laughing at class. She's a very fun student.
What did I do to deserve you killing me this way? I can't lose my life like this. I'll still fight, and if I die, please let them find me, 'cause my lungs are working. Liquid fills the
I've definitely been able to push myself outside of my comfort zone when it comes to harp, because I feel like when we first started working together before, I was very timid with the instrument, but you really encouraged me to like play out and like really let everything enunciate, and even if I make a mistake, allow me to sit in the mistake and just use it as like more for next time.
You can see me underwater as it descends. I see my life flash again.
She has improving a lot, mostly her creativity. She has developing a lot of like her arrangement skills and composition skills. Yeah.
I really enjoy the way that you're like a super approachable and authentic teacher. Like I feel like you don't expect perfection, you just really want to see progress. And I feel like as a harp teacher that's really important, because like what you do on the instrument is not always going to be perfect, but it's more how you like bounce back, and you always encourage me to just like keep going with it, and I really value that.
My name is Lise Vandersmissen, and my program Triple Harp Time focuses on solo repertoire for the Italian triple harp. My aim is to reintroduce the triple harp as a solo instrument and to bridge the gap between the 17th century, which is when this three-rowed harp was created, and the world that we live in today. In my program, I'll be playing both early music and contemporary music. Sasha Scott wrote a piece for triple harp with electronics, and she was inspired by my life on a canal boat in London. So some of the sounds that you hear in the electronics are sounds that remind me of home. I want to give my audience a taste of the music that was being played in the time that this triple harp was created, as well as show which sounds the triple harp can make when put into today's context. think it's very interesting to see how a 17th century instrument maneuvers its way through electronics and special effects in the world of today.
Hello everyone, I'm Francesca Campo and I want to present for the World Harp competition my project, L'Eco dal Popolo. L'Eco dal Popolo has been a journey where I rediscover myself both as harpist, as a musician and as person. I always felt a strong connection with Sicily, my homeland, and I try to carry with me wherever I go. During my research at the Royal Conservatory of The Hague, I finally found this bond and I learned how to express it through music. When I was a child, I loved listening stories by my grandfather, and I imagined a land full of color, traditions, and emotions. With L'Eco dal Popolo, I want to bring those memories back to life through music. The project can be divided in two parts. The first one represents the traditional side, where fantasies on opera themes and folk music blended together, bringing back the atmosphere of the aristocratic saloon in the 19th century in the south of Italy. While working on this project, I understood that rediscovering forgotten repertoire wasn't enough. So I want to create something new, and this is how born Sikelia, the second part of this project. Sikelia is an original piece for harp and ensemble, divided in 3 movements, like the 3 points of the island. Sikelia was created thanks to the collaboration with the composition class of the Conservatory of Palermo. The goal was to create a piece that was made in Sicily, where each composer can express their idea of the island. The work is very structured. Each movement represents an important historical period. The first movement represents the Hellenic period. The second movement, the Arabic Norman period. And the third movement represents the fall of the Kingdom of the Two Sicilies, leading to the unification of Italy. With this performance, I want to share the true essence of Sicily and its people. The project involves 3 composers and more than 10 musicians, but the harp remains at the center. So with this project, I want to share with you the voices of people, their tradition and their history.
My name is Flo, I'm classically trained, and alongside my formal harp education, I was always drawn to pop, groovy and improvised music. I wanted an alternative, another way to express myself beyond the classical repertoire, and I already knew that jazz harp was a thing. Before I even began my classical studies, I had been told that I would never be able to play jazz on the harp and certainly never be successful at it. And here I am in the multicultural city of London today, connecting with creatives, jamming, performing and playing the music I love with my band. From my experience, the classical world has its beauty, but can also be quite rigid, leaving little space for creative freedom. And the pedal harp is still so closely linked with classical music that it ends up carrying all the usual harp cliches with it. With this trio, my aim is to put the harp in a different context, a looser, more playful environment rooted in jazz, funk and soul, which are my favorite styles to play. This project is all about music that makes you shake a leg or nod your head. I'm joined by Gus on bass and guitar and Leo on drums and percussion. We reinterpret pieces where the groove is central, whether it is funk riff, a bossa nova pattern or an odd time signature. Structure and improvisation shape our sound. I also find inspiration in dance. I feel there is a strong connection between this art form and music. Breaking, or commonly known as breakdance, is directly linked to funk as it is one of the music styles it is danced to. Just as in dance you train your vocabulary, foundations, develop tricks and combos, in jazz you practice on chords, scales, develop your licks, etc. Both forms rely on building a personal language through practice and exploration. The sense of freedom is the same. It is about that ability to improvise, to freestyle, to create in the moment. My mantra or guiding thread in life is the name of this project. Let's go. Do it, develop, grow. Don't aim for perfection, just take action. Try things even if you fail. Follow your direction, keep moving forward no matter what life throws at you, and do the things you love.
is Motoshi Kosako, composer, improviser, harpist. This original program, Harp Explorer, is not specifically formed for this competition. It's rather a sneak peek of my ongoing everyday harp exploration. And this one is focusing on jazz sound. When I am preparing a jazz concert program, I have these principles in my mind. First, authentic jazz sound. I try to play phrases, harmony and grooves authentic to jazz. An audience doesn't have any doubt about harp is a complete jazz instrument. Second, sincere improvisation. That means spontaneous creation in the moment, going beyond the comfort zone. So that means also no previously written or practiced or memorized solo, and avoiding easy copy and paste method to mock up improvisation. Number 3, variety of styles. I'm trying to explore styles beyond something typically suited for harp. Number 4, innovative technique. That means new and expanded application of existing techniques or developing completely new techniques. 5. Original composition. Original composition is pursuit of authentic jazz sound with keeping the advantage and the unique characteristic of the harp. And also, original compositions allow me to express my value, my life, and life experiences through music. After all, music is not what I live for. Music is formed as a part of the tapestry of my life experiences that is worthy of sharing with other human beings. That's why I chose this path, musician/harp explorer. I am looking forward to sharing this program, Harp Explorer, with you. Thank you for watching.
Hello everyone, my name is Cristi de la Rosa and I'm a traditional harpist from Veracruz, Mexico. I want to share with you my concert, the Jarocho Harp of Veracruz, a project that celebrates the roots, the history, and the beauty of the music that shaped my life. But what is the Jarocho Harp? In Veracruz, the word Jarocho describes the people, the culture, and the tradition of our region on the Gulf of Mexico. Veracruz has always been a meeting point of different worlds, and its music reflects that. Son Jarocho, our traditional music style, blends indigenous, Spanish, and African influences into a vibrant living tradition. It's joyful, rhythmic, poetic, and deeply emotional. For us, being Jarocho is not just cultural. It's an identity, it's the sound of home. And one of the most special instruments in this tradition is the Jarocho harp or arpa jarocha. It's a large traditional harp that is both melodic and rhythmic. For generations, the Jarocho harp has accompanied celebrations, stories, dances, and emotions of my people. Carrying this instrument is carrying centuries of history, so that's where I want to share it with you. The Jarocho Harp of Veracruz is an immersive concert that invites audiences to experience this tradition in a new way. In the show, I perform a selection of classic pieces from the Mexican and Jarocho repertoire, the music that has shaped our culture for generations. But this concert is also a space for creation. I share my own compositions, blending tradition with modern musical ideas. It is alive, it evolves, and it has a place in Mexico's concert music today. Throughout the performance, I also tell stories about the music, about the harp, and about my own journey as a musician. Visuals on stage help connect each piece with the landscape and culture of Mexico. I create this concert because I believe the Jarocho harp deserves to be known, heard, and valued around the world. The instrument shaped my identity as a musician. Through my studies, my travels, and my work as a composer, I have discovered how powerful it is to share the sounds of Veracruz with new audiences. My mission is to preserve this tradition, but also to give it new possibilities. I want people to fall in love with the sound, the history, and its spirits, just like I did.
Hi, my name is Sujata Chapelin. I'm a classical trained French harpist, and today I'm presenting you a project I've been working on for the last 2 years with my little sister, Minaya. It is called Listening to Remember the Music in the Concentration Camps.
This is a musical program for flute and harp exploring the unknown role of music in the camps during the Second World War. Our desire is to reflect the diversity of musical acts within the camps.
The thing is, music played a major role within the Nazi concentration camp system itself. It was a key tool in the enslavement of prisoners, marking the rhythm of daily life from labor to executions. Therefore, we decided to evoke oppressive music along resistant music. We feel that only by showing the presence of this daily torturous music could we express how extraordinary and inconceivable resistant music was. We consulted historians, researchers, heads of memorials, and descendants of deportees. Thanks to their expertise, we've been able to build a consistent repertoire.
The problem is, nothing was written precisely for flute and harp. So we asked a fellow student at the Paris Conservatoire, Léo Laloge, to work on arrangements and the creation.
To me, it was a fantastic opportunity to explore Berliner historical music. They asked me to push them beyond the expected sonorities of flute and harp repertoire. The point is to express the duty of remembrance, telling about those musicians of the concentration camps. They remain the best testament of how, even in the midst of absolute horror, one can still seek the light.
We also asked Quentin de Lépine, stage director from Agence Vertige, to help us share our message in a genuine and respectful way.
The idea is to present a continuous concert experience, targeting an authentic connection with the audience. The thing is, Sujata and Minaya are two siblings, great-granddaughters of a deportation survivor.
At first, we didn't want to say anything about it. And then we realized that we were running away from precisely the thing we would like our audience to do, telling about what happened. It pushed us to reconnect with our own family story in order to talk from our point of view.
The concert will show how they progressively embody the change they want to see in the world. reconnect with the past, from the fragile to the grand, from the singular to the shared.
In a time of growing political and social instability, reaffirming the importance of remembrance has never been more vital.
Listening to remember is a way of ensuring that their stories are never forgotten
and continue to be passed on to future generations.
Our roots, our culture, and the music we grow up with are an important part of who we are and how we identify ourselves. In a world where individualism prevails, I choose music as a way to bring people together. I am Erendira Morales, Mexican harpist and composer.
Cuando era tu corazón al corazón mío fiel. Ay, soledad, 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 dime qué haré. Si tú me digas su amor, que desdichado seré. Ay, soledad, 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 dime qué haré.
My program features music from my home country, Mexico. In a crisis of homesickness, I explore different genres that share a common thread, a sense of home for those who need it. I'm reminded that language isn't a barrier when music is the universal language of our souls. Bésame mucho, an icon of romantic love. This bolero has become the most popular Mexican song. During wartime, accompanying the separation of couples who held onto the hope of seeing each other again. It remains timeless. Sigo cruzando ríos, andando selvas, amando el sol. Cada día sigo sacando espinas de lo profundo del corazón. La noche sigo encendiendo sueños para limpiar con el fuego sagrado cada recuerdo. Cuando escriba tu nombre en la arena blanca, confundo el sol. Cuando mira el cielo, la forma cruel de una nube gris aparezcas tú. Más tarde subo relajando el hombro, mira el pasado, sabes que no te he olvidado. Yo te llevo dentro hasta la raíz y por más que crezca vas a estar aquí. Que yo me contra la montaña y en tu tronco lleno de celebration of Mexican music. It is a reminder that our identities are shaped by the stories we inherit and the memories we carry. My hope is that these pieces not only connect you to my culture, but also inspire you to reflect on your own roots.
Hi, I'm Esther Severac. I am a pedal harpist from Switzerland. I composed an original program for pedal harp and digital effects that I called Work Witch. Work Witch is about female empowerment. I want to take the audience with me in my fantasy world and make them smile, but I also want to make them think. Women's rights are under attack today. The three-part piece Catillon tells the story of the last woman burned as a witch in Switzerland. I think it's important to talk about witch hunts today and to not forget what happened a few hundred years ago. I use live electronics like a looper and delays and other fancy things in my compositions. I have always enjoyed experimenting with sound manipulation on the harp. I use these effects only as tools to express something or to make something possible. The storytelling always has to come first. I have a classical harp education, and I've also performed a lot with jazz musicians. My compositions are inspired by those two backgrounds. Groove is very important to me, and I love to write music in odd meters. Nescacha is a Basque word which means little girl. Little girls are still treated differently nowadays than boys. They get less pocket money and different toys, and they're told to behave differently, and I think that has to change. Thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoy the program.
When I began this project, I wondered what link could be found between my compositions for the Irish traditional harp inspired by my home place of the Barra Peninsula in the southwest of Ireland and the music of the pioneering female composers of the Italian Baroque. I considered how the landscape is such a huge source of inspiration for my own work: the forests and the mountains, the lakes, the rivers, and the sea. legends and folklore too, not least that of Princess Barra, who it is said sailed from the Kingdom of Castile around 120 AD to marry Owen More, King of Ireland, giving the area its name.
At first she did not speak our tongue, but her eyes, they spoke to me. I saw courage and fear, her held back tears as we left the coast Castile.
As I was arranging music from the Venetian Baroque for the Italian triple harp, I wondered what might have inspired Barbara Strozzi or Annabon di Venezia in the 16 and 1700s, and the link instantly came to me. They too were surrounded by water, the lagoon, the canals, and the glistening Ree. Music suddenly flowed from Barra to Venezia, linking women composers through time. It was very poignant to explore the parish of Santa Sofia in Venezia, where Barbara Strozzi was baptized and grew up. She was undoubtedly ahead of her time, having more secular music in print than any of her contemporaries. This project also explores the compositions of Annabon di Venezia, the late Baroque composer. I hope you enjoyed this preview of a project which is very close to my heart. I would love the opportunity to share more with you. Thank you for coming on this journey with me.
Hello, I'm Veronica Mishenko from Ukraine, and I would like to present my program Words, Sounds, Thoughts. For this program, I chose works by contemporary female harpist composers, each carrying an important social message. I can't say that this concept was my initial plan, but I'm very pleased with how it evolved and proud to share this perspective through the music. With some of the composers, we've been friends for quite a long time. Some I met more recently while traveling and performing in different countries. Others I heard online and then got in touch with. When selecting this program, I wanted to make us think about such topics as psychological pressure, restrictions of rights, mental well-being, humanity's reconnections with nature, the realities of war, reflections on love and death. In this video, I'll share short examples of each composition I am working on now, so you can hear how different they are in style, in musical language, and in way of expression. require additional sound effects, for example, harp and electronics. For my own composition, I will be using an audio track, which was recorded about a year ago for the performances I did in Kharkiv, Kyiv and Lviv, some in the concert halls and some in the bomb shelters. This track will be combined with cadenza I wrote after the war came to Ukraine. I'm deeply grateful to my harp colleagues for their support, especially since some of the works were written specifically for this project. Some composers expressed their personal experience through the music, some did not. And what I find important to say with this program is that you don't need to be personally affected by something in order to speak out. This is what humanity is about, not to be indifferent, not to look away. Thank you. It would be my honor to come and share these compositions, this music with a wide audience.
Johann Sebastian Bach's music has always amazed me. So perfect, so clean, so complete on its own, almost like a divine message from heaven. And yet, I believe that its clarity and beauty can coexist with new rhythms, colors, and influences from different traditions and styles. Hello, I'm Clara Pahovska from Poland, and my program explores arrangements and original compositions rooted in classical music, folk traditions of Poland, Ukraine, Iran, India, and many other cultures I've got to learn about. But most importantly, the program shows how all these styles are closely intertwined with jazz. I believe jazz is a true musical connector, reflecting many elements, such as improvisation and storytelling, found in folk traditions, rich harmonies and ornamentations from classical music, and the embodied syncopated rhythms from South America and West Africa. And the harp, with its versatility and huge range of expression, can easily become a bridge between those styles, enabling them to resonate and interact with each other. So for this video I chose a number of pieces. The first one you heard was my take on Johann Sebastian Bach's cantata, and I will hope you'll enjoy the rest. Thank you so much for listening. Nasza sławna Ukraina rozżurila się. O iluzji czerwoną kalina pochyliła się. Czogoś nasza sławna Ukraina rozżurila się.
The harp is often seen as a golden instrument at the back of the orchestra, admired yet distant. Duo Impromptu wants to change that. They aim to bring the harp forward and tell stories everyone can relate to. For Duo Impromptu, the story always comes first. Their arrangements focus on emotions, connection, sound that invites you in rather than showing off.
For me, when we were talking about making a light, accessible yet magical concert, the first thing that came to my mind was the Children's Corner from Debussy, because I'm not from a musical family.
Well, actually, we both are not from a music family.
Exactly. So I still remember very clearly that the first piece of classical music that I actively listened to was the Children's Corner, and I listened to it on repeat, and it really made me fall in love with Debussy and classical music in general. And it made me realize that classical music was not something I could just play on the harp, it was also something that I could listen to separately. And if I look at it now, it really was a turning point for me to use that music.
Yeah, and then from there on, Debussy kind of became the pillar on which we built the rest of our program. And then Prokofiev actually followed very naturally as a choice for us through its picturesque character, almost like a movie clip telling a story. And we also wanted to make sure we don't necessarily choose pieces that are very well known or, for the matter of fact, expected to be played on two harps. Also that we might not know them already.
Yeah, that's also how we came to our two female composers, because we added Bosmont and Price, because we thought that their pieces fitted so well in the descriptiveness of the Children's Corner from Debussy.
And then, of course, we had to tie in Bartók as well, because first of all, it does fit with the theme and the other pieces, and it also was the very first piece that we arranged ourselves for our duo, and the audience just absolutely loves it every time we perform it, and so do we.
Yes.
Debussy will invite you into childhood wonder. Price will paint for us vivid, emotional landscapes. Bartók carries the soul of folk traditions. Prokofiev tells dramatic tales, and Bosman whispers impressions of modern life. All wanted to tell stories to captivate their audiences. Their harp sounds will bring them to you. They have arranged these works to keep the story at the center. A concert that belongs as much in a grand hall as in a bedroom at bedtime. Music that resonates regardless of age or background. Their goal is simple: to invite listeners into the world of the harp, to let everyone hear its stories, not just admire its sparkle.
Our goal was to create an environment that truly feels open for anyone.
Yes, because it was this same openness that allowed us to enter the world of classical music.
And we hope by bringing our arrangements to the audience, we can in turn let people experience the stories at the core of the music.
Yes, we almost want to create a shared experience between us and the public, in which we connect
My name is Gabriella Jones. I'm a harpist, originally from Wales, currently based in London.
My name is Alice Oakley-Jones and I am a contemporary ballet professional dancer.
Unlove has been a passion project of mine for quite some time, where I've been working with different collaborators to explore love from the female guise.
So in this cross arts collaboration, we are really working as two women creating and embodying the work, not only from the choreographic and the music point of view, but also in the performance realm. When we're working together, I'm receiving so much information from the harp and vice versa. So it is literally like a pas de deux of sorts with the two of us in the space.
All of the imagery, the projections and the videos during the performance will be self-made. These are all heavily inspired by the work of the photographer Francesca Woodman, and particularly her Angel series. Now, this series is a series of images and photographs of herself, and I think there is something very vulnerable and powerful about using yourself as the subject within your own artwork.
What's really important about this project is that we are taking the space as the female creators, the female lead and the female voice and the female physicality. So all of that is in our ownership. It is important that we have our own voice and physicality to represent our identity in our work.
Alongside multimedia, gesture, sign and dance, this programme moves through 4 contemporary harp works. Fragile by Judith Weir is sparse and brittle, shaped by the acoustics of each moment. Seraphim by Deborah Pritchard begins with thunder before opening into something luminous, revealing both the power and stereotype of the harp's beauty. Helen Brechon's Minotaur allows Alice and I to embody the percussive and meditative world created. And La Madone by Caroline Lizotte feels like home, a place of warmth and love that grounds the whole performance.